Nigeria is the world's 9th largest producer of crude oil. Yet, its official oil refining capacity is practically non-existent. But in the oil-rich Niger Delta, an informal artisanal refining industry thrives. Artisanal refineries are small makeshift sites where, using a low-tech process called cooking, crude oil is turned into products such as diesel, kerosene, and gasoline. The refineries are run like cottage industries. Operating stealthily below the radar of law, they siphon off crude oil from pipelines and contribute to the country's staggering levels of oil theft. It is estimated that 5 to 20% of oil produced in Nigeria is stolen every year. In early 2020, official crude production was around 2 million barrels per day. That translates into a loss of some 3 billion British pounds. Most of those investing in artisanal sites, popularly called CAMs, break even within 2 to 3 weeks. Depending on the market price, they can earn 10 times over their initial investment. The Nigerian government is well aware of these activities and has frequently tried to enforce policies to stop them. It has sent in the military and conducted offensives to break up the CAMs. The country's state-run oil company has tried to implement surveillance operations along oil pipelines in the region. And civil society organizations have long-run campaigns to discourage the practice. The cost of these efforts to the government has been enormous. Yet, none of the attempts have managed to suppress the industry, nor the corruption associated with it. Even today, when oil demand has sunk to historic lows, somehow these refining sites keep popping up.
Why has this been so difficult to stop? Research by the SOAS Anti-Corruption Evidence Program and SDN suggests this is largely because of the number of people who benefit from the refineries. Of course, this includes those who are directly involved, such as refinery owners and workers.
We've done this so many years back, and nothing comes out of it.
But the refineries also benefit others, such as members of the country's security services, and local politicians too stand to gain. Refinery proceeds are sometimes used to finance political campaigns. But there is an even more important reason why these sites are so difficult to shut down, and that is because the local communities, among most of them, have an interest to keep them going. Why would they want supposedly criminal activities in their midst? The answer is tied up with the inequitable distribution of wealth and resources from Nigeria's oil. The Niger Delta is one of the most impoverished regions in the country. The official unemployment rate here stands at roughly 40%. This is despite the Delta being host to the nation's oil and gas industry. Not only have the oil reserves done very little for local communities, traditional livelihoods have been severely affected by the damage from oil spills to soil and water quality.
This local crude refining is helping people light their homes in absence of electricity from the government. When this boiling is on, there is enough petrol to fuel generators. Again, since they are fetching money from this crude refining, it is impossible to abstain despite the impacts.
But now, the artisanal refining sites provide opportunities for work where otherwise there will be very little. First, they are the jobs that are directly associated with how petroleum products are cooked and supplied. These include workers managing the sites and their supervisors and those involved in selling and distribution.
Personally, myself, I have 180 something workers working under me.
The refineries often employ well-qualified young men. Some of them have levels of education that would have allowed them to become engineers, mechanics, or to work in local retail. But because there are no other options, they have chosen to work here. It helps that the pay is higher than in competing jobs. As a starting point, a camp worker can earn more than 200,000 Nigerian naira per month, much more than other local jobs such as subsistence farming and fishing. In fact, 200,000 naira is 6 times more than the national minimum wage, and it is about the same salary as a lieutenant in the Navy. More senior staff, camp owners, and others in the value chain can earn substantially more. But there are also many secondary jobs that are created by the refineries. An even better explanation for community support. Where jobs are scarce, these opportunities are anything but secondary. And there is gainful employment for women, like when they set up hotels to house workers or provide catering services to the camps. There are even informal surveillance jobs carried out by members of the community where they gather intelligence for security forces in the region. And that is not all the community gets. The refineries provide fuel for electricity, which in Nigeria is always in short supply. And while the government is taking steps to address the situation, it is not likely to be resolved in the short to medium term. The country has one of the highest levels of self-generated electricity in the developing world. Most Nigerian consumers have to make arrangements for their own electricity supply. Electricity produced by small generators and inverters. And the estuarine regions of the Delta are particularly badly affected by this scarcity and unreliability. The diesel manufactured at artisanal refining sites finds a ready market as locals buy it to fire their generators. It is not hard to see why rule breaking is so entrenched in the communities that surround artisanal sites and why the activities are so hard to stop.
I work with the youths of the Niger Delta, especially those who are involved in artisanal refining, to see how we can get a better life for them, and to tell the federal government to give them modular refinery, which is what they have promised the youths of the region. Because the federal government is trying to say youths should stop out of artisanal refining. If they stop, what will they eat?
But the refineries also have severe negative spillover effects for the environment and for community members' health. The site's immediate surroundings become extremely polluted. This leads to health issues such as pollution-related skin conditions, cancers, and premature stillbirths. Yet, most communities want to keep these refineries running. To them, the benefits seem to outweigh the cost.
With this evidence, it is clear that more military action or further criminalization will not help solve the issue of artisanal refining. Yet, something does need to be done urgently. The health and environment effects are real, and the right to decent work is fundamental. So what can be done? The first critical issue is to address the impact of health by providing basic health care. Helping communities deal with their health problems will be one way of reassuring them that their grievances matter, the right step in strengthening state-citizen relations. The second strategy is directly compete with artisanal jobs and provide remunerative alternative employment. One idea is to formalize part of this industry and use the skills and capacities so far created within a new formal structure, which will use more sophisticated and less polluting technology. While somewhat controversial, even the federal government is thinking along these lines.
So if it will be possible for the government to make it official, we are much more ready. So what we need is just a license. Go ahead. We can even partner with foreigners and make it official and then get more more employment for our youth.
The third strategy is to provide non-polluting solar power for electricity provision. This would give communities alternatives to buying fuel from the site while easing the impact on the environment. A combination of these three strategies could then be used to form that all-important coalition of actors who no longer see it in their interest to be corrupt.